Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Outliers YouTube and podcast series, Get to Know. I'm your host, DP Lyle, and I am here with my partner in crime, Kathleen Antrim.
Thanks, Doug. And we've got another great interview for you. We've got a best-selling author, Bruce Alterman. He is a fourth generation private investigator, and he's been 30 years in the business. And we are very excited to have you, Bruce. Welcome to Get to Know.
Thank you. Great to be here.
So my first question is about your childhood.
Okay.
I would really like to
sure.
know if you feel your childhood contributed to you becoming a writer. Were you an athletic kid? Were you a shy child? Did you read a lot? Did you have imaginary friends? Tell us about it.
Well, I was in a unique situation as a child in that I was born into an investigator family, a private investigator family, which went all the way back to 1898 to my great grandfather. And through the ages and generations, I also became a private investigator right after college because I saw an opportunity in Mount Vernon. It's a rough town. I grew up in Mount Vernon since I was 3 years old in an apartment that looked more like a penitentiary, and as most of Mount Vernon is. But the thing is, after college, I saw this great opportunity because there was no private investigation in Mount Vernon. It was a tough town. There were a lot of lawyers. There was a lot of lawsuits. So I opened up an office, which was easy for me because I had been doing investigations since I was literally 7 years old. Started off in the back of my father's big sedan with black binoculars looking for a lady coming down a driveway in Hartsdale that was driving a red Corvette. So we followed her all the way to Queens. And my father said, "Get in there, go in there." And she walked into a bank after parking. And I walked in. This is my first investigation, but I kind of watched TV, Maxwell Smart, whatever at the time. And I saw her as a teller. And I came out and gave my father the report. And he was very happy with me and bought me a toy rocket that had water power. That was
I remember those.
that was
I
my
had one of
bounty
those,
for a good
absolutely.
investigation. I was hooked after that.
Wow, wow. And what can you tell us what the case was about?
That particular case, I have no idea. I was 7 years old. He just thought that
We
it
never
was
talked about it later.
fantastic. No, he was eating hot dogs like six at a time while I was there for hours watching this driveway. And then I yelled, "There she is!" And he jumps in the car. And, that was my introduction to private
Wow.
investigation.
So,
What a
okay,
what
so
a
that
great
led you to
story.
become a PI, but what led you to become a writer? Were you an athletic child? Were you introverted? Did you read a lot? Where,
Uh,
where did the writing
it,
come
it,
from?
no, I was not introverted at all. Quite an extrovert, and I was on all the athletic teams. I am a state champion shot put thrower. I was on the Mount Vernon Championship football team. If you looked at my Facebook, you'd see all these links, and it was a great childhood. But afterwards, I just decided, to get into investigation because it was so present for me. And I started working for the Empire Mutual Insurance Company. I saw all these cases that were just like off the hook. In fact, some people went a little crazy, literally, from seeing my pictures. I had a girl claim disability because she was a secretary and she saw all the pictures of the injuries and the murders and so on. So it was enough to traumatize them. And I figured, I'm going to put a lot of this stuff in a book or books. And I started off with Exploit, which was probably if anybody asks my biggest case of all time, that was one of them because I was undercover at a mafia strip club as a bouncer. And I had to report back to the actual owners. And it's all based on a true story. I just changed the names and not the times, but just the names. And that was a big one. And then after that, I figured, wow, I got to write about this. This was just a crazy few months and went into a year or two. So I wrote that book, Exploit. And then from there, and I found it really good. And I was actually a member of the Science Fiction Book Club, which was where when I was a teenager, I would get science fiction books 4 times a month. So I was really into writing and stories. So I figured, listen, I have enough true stories here where I can present it, where I can just use pseudonyms and I'll be in the clear. And the publisher asked me every time, "This is not true, is it?" I said, "Don't worry about it. No one can get linked to it, so we're legally okay."
I
Are
hope so.
all of your books based on true cases and true stories?
Yes, all of them are. And
Yeah.
this latest one, especially, I had to actually leave out hundreds of pages because Mount Vernon has so much crime and such heinous crime that it wasn't readable or commercial. So whatever you see in the book, Murder in Mount Vernon, Guns, Gangsters, and Glory, are all based on true events. And I just used pseudonyms, and I had to change the times because I didn't want anybody to link up things that happened in Mount Vernon with also the times. There it is,
Wow.
the book, indeed. So, yes, and you have to read the book to see the quagmire of corruption that the town has become, but can be solved because it actually is an entertainment mecca. And, so many stars come from there. Denzel Washington, Heavy D. I have the Heavy D Memorial in the back of the book on the flap. So as a tribute to him. And he was a real Mount Vernonite. And that's actually on October 9th, this Thursday, I will be at the Mount Vernon Public Library giving a book signing and full discussion and back and forth regarding Mount Vernon. That's October 9th, 6 p.m. So
Cool.
should be very interesting if you can make it.
Well, let me ask you a little bit about process here. So you've got all these stories and these files on these cases, and then you decide you're going to fictionalize them. How hard was it to decide what to include, what to leave out, how to twist the facts to make a good story rather than a reportage of what happened? That's often a difficult thing to juggle.
Sure, sure. What you do is take the absolute truth, because truth is stranger than fiction, and tone it down. That's all I have to say.
Yeah.
Because if I wrote about what really happened out there in blunt terms without toning it down, a lot of people wouldn't read it. They'd be shocked and say, "I can't read that." And I can't even mention those circumstances here because you'd be like, "No, we don't want to hear that." So basically, it's a toned down version of the cases that I've handled, and you'll just have to sort out. You can actually Google some of the situations in Murder in Mount Vernon, and you'll get like 60 hits on if you just Google in a situation like a police commissioner gets arrested in police headquarters for trespassing. I would come up.
Okay.
Wow. Wow.
So if you did Google searches like that, you'd get to the bottom of it. But of course, for legal reasons, I can't specifically refer to those instances because it is a novel. It's fictionalized.
So, do you outline, or are you just kind of a pantser, or do you just look at the report and use that as an outline to write the book? How do you?
Actually, personally, I know the whole story, and I have 22 stories already on the queue to go. And I know the beginning, the middle, the end, all the players, and what's going to happen because it's all played out before to me. So the trauma causes intense memories. So it's kind of like a lot of cases are traumatizing, but not to me because I have kind of like a thick skin, but I can channel those situations and those events into a story and writing that the public can read about and I can discuss.
So, how
Somewhat.
long did it take you to write your first book?
Well, the whole thing with a book, it's like a lot of people say, "Oh, I could write a book," but they never do because you have to think of what kind of book are you going to write? My first one, a lot of people said, "Is this true?" Because it's true. You're going to need a lawyer. And then, of course, I had to use pseudonyms when I learned that, it has to be fictionalized, or at least categorized as such. Otherwise, it's a whole different animal, if you will. So, yeah, I just have to know the story because I experienced the story. and it's ingrained in my memory because of all the individual and collective traumas that have happened. I could go through my childhood. That's another whole book. But
So when you're writing, does it take you about 6 months to write a book or longer? Or
you know, uh, it takes me 3 weeks to write a book. I
wow.
become obsessive and I write the book. And sometimes I close my eyes, and I learned how to type very well in seventh grade. And so I close my eyes and I just go into another world. I time travel into that case, into those people. I see them. I get nervous. My heart starts beating, but I'm typing the whole time. And
Mhm.
at the end of that process, from 3 to maybe 5 weeks, depending on the length of the book, then I really write the book, which is I go over everything, and that takes about a year.
Yeah,
So,
all the rewriting and draft.
to take this story and make it presentable,
Mhm.
where I have to take some things out, a lot of things out.
Mhm.
That's what it mostly is, basically.
Well,
I write 400 pages and I trim it down to 300, something like that.
let me ask you this then: when you're doing that almost stream of consciousness writing in the memory from your memory and all that kind of stuff, in that first draft, do you use all the real names
No,
because it makes
absolutely
your
not.
story? So
I already
you're
have their
changing
names in
these
my
on the
head.
fly.
I had their names in my head as it was actually happening. I go, oh, this guy seems like that character in that movie. So I'll give him a name, Mr. Sluggy or something like that,
Yeah,
and to a rough guy. So, and I will just put a twist on their name. I won't
yeah.
um, use a completely different name. Like if the name is Italian, I'm going to stick with an Italian name with an
Mhm.
I or IO at the end. It's not going to be Mulcahy. It's going to be
Mhm.
Scaramuzzo.
Sure, sure.
Exactly.
So if we need Italian names, we just need to call you. You'll be able to help us out
Yeah, right.
coming up
Sure.
with Italian
Oh,
names.
well, the guys that are dead I can talk about. I at the book signing in Hartsdale the other day, coincidentally, right across the street from my first surveillance that I just told you about with my father at the Barnes and Noble.
Yeah.
Kismet and all. I spoke about a guy who had passed away, so I could actually use his name in individual conversation. When
Sure.
somebody asked me, "Is that a real guy?" and I was able to say, "Yeah, check this name out." And he's like, "Oh wow, I know, yeah, I heard about him."
Yeah.
So yeah, if he's deceased, I can use the name, but only in a one-to-one private circumstance.
Yeah. You're not going to write it in the book.
No,
No,
absolutely
no,
not.
no,
No, no,
I'm
no,
gonna
no.
leave
So
myself
from the
open here.
time you finished your first book, how long did it take you to get published?
Um, I would say um, about, wow, it took a while. It took a while. Phew, took a
Does
long
for everyone.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it took a long time. I'm thinking now it took like more than 10 years.
yeah.
We were
Hmm.
sending out manuscripts and getting to know the business and the agents and someone to sponsor you and so on. So, but after that, once you know what you're doing, kind of,
Hmm.
it's much easier. So the first one was tough because you're kind of blind and you really don't know what to do, unless, of
Yeah.
course,
Yeah.
you follow a lot of how-to books and suggestions. But I didn't
No,
want to
no,
do
no.
that because I felt like if it's a good book, it's just going to be a good book, and I just want to write the book and then
Right.
publish
Right.
the book. I really don't care how it sells. I want to make a book that I like and it's good, like a book that I would like to read. That's what I want.
Right. Right.
Well, I think most authors, even very successful authors, will tell you that they wrote one, two, three, or more books before they got the one that got published. I know Ken Follett says he wrote 10 books before he got one published. I know Dean Koontz was the same way. He had a drawer full of books before he got something published. So this is not an unusual, 10 years is not an unusual journey to
Yeah.
get something
Yeah.
out there.
Of
Yeah.
course not. Now I'm just
So,
looking for Denzel Washington to read the book so he can finally, since he's a quote Mount Vernon actor, not a Hollywood actor, he
Yeah.
can make a Mount Vernon movie.
That would be
that's great.
great.
So now, Bruce, tell our viewers where they can find out more about you and buy your books.
Sure. I'm at brucealterman.com on the web, but also any of my books are on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, any of the markets. And please get back to me or give me some feedback or any questions that you might have, and I'll be happy to answer them the best I can.
That's fantastic. And Bruce Alterman, it's been great to have you on Get to Know. Thank you so much. We'll have to have you back when your next book comes out. In the meantime, I want to ask our viewers to please click the thumbs up. It helps with the algorithms. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. We very much appreciate our subscribers. And that way you won't miss any interviews. And Doug, let me throw it back to you.
Bruce, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It was such
Appreciate
a
it.
pleasure.
Thank
So
you.
much fun.
Thank you.
What a great story. I mean, your whole life and how you became an author and all that, and a 7-year-old PI. I love that. And we do want you back the next time you have a book up. So reach out, let us know. We'll
That'd be
schedule all
great.
this again and sit down and have fun.
Sure. All right. Thank you very much. There are 22 in the queue, so I'll see you 22 times, man.
We'll spend a lot of
That's
time
great.
together then.
Thank you.
That's
Well, I
great.
want to
Bye
thank
now.
everybody for watching this episode of Get to Know here on the Outliers YouTube and channel and podcast series. And as you know, we'll be back with other interviews. And until then, keep reading, keep writing, keep having fun, and try not to get caught.